Welcome to another video by IEEE HK Blockchain YouTube channel. Today we will learn how to code a script that whenever a Ethereum whale, or in this case a USDC whale, transfers more than 100,000 USDC from one wallet address to another wallet address, we will play the song Never Gonna Give You Up and we're gonna print out the message. So basically, to give you an idea of what I'm gonna do, let me just run a demo. So let me type node script.js, and if you guys are wearing headphones, or if you guys are in an environment which prefers you to be quiet, then be sure to lower down your volume right now. Actually, let me lower down my volume so it won't be that loud, because the music I imported was actually pretty loud for the Rickroll. So let me just run this. Well, basically this plays the Rickroll song every single time this message new whale transfer gives the link to the transaction is transferred. So let me just run it again. Yeah, so that's basically it. It can get pretty loud because there's a lot of whale activity. So yeah, by the way, apart from this Rickroll functionality, building a whale tracker is also pretty useful, because whales, if you haven't known until now, whales are just basically like wallet addresses which hold like a significant amount of a certain token. So in this case, we'll be monitoring the activity of the whales which hold USDC, the stablecoin. And whales can be pretty powerful, as if they like dump some of their tokens or they buy more and stuff like that, it can affect the price of your cryptocurrency. So it's also kind of beneficial to track the actions of the whales. And there is like a Twitter account called Whale Alert which already does that, but this video is just for learning purposes, and I hope you're gonna learn something by the end of this video. If you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe, click the big red button, and also, as you probably know right now, we are hosting a hackathon. So head over to IEEE HK Blockchain /IEEE/hackathon.org to find out more about the hackathon. And if you have any friends or if you are interested, then be sure to click the register now button if you want to join. Alright, so let's get into the video. So basically, to code the script, we'll be using JavaScript. We'll be writing it JavaScript, and we're also going to use the library called Ethers.js. We already covered Ethers.js on our YouTube channel twice, so if you haven't watched that already, be sure to watch it sometime. So you should be pretty familiar with Ethers.js right now, but don't worry if you haven't watched it, but you're going to watch it later. You'll still be able to understand the concepts, and you'll be able to finish the script, and the script will be working in no time. So let's get into it. Now the first thing that we want to do is to create a new JavaScript file. I'm in a new JavaScript file, and you can do that by opening whatever code editor that you like. I'm in Visual Studio Code. So the first thing that we're going to do is that we want to import Ethers.js. A few things about Ethers.js. Ethers.js allows us to harness the full power of the blockchain, and basically helps us write JavaScript scripts that does blockchain stuff. For example, you can get the token balance of a certain account, or you can even sign a transaction on the blockchain using JavaScript. So it's pretty useful, and in my opinion, is one of the best and easiest libraries to learn Web3 development with JavaScript. So the first thing that we're going to do, and by the way, Ethers.js is pretty useful for our whale tracker, is that we're going to import Ethers.js. So the way to import it is const ethers equals to require ethers. So as you can see, we have successfully imported Ethers.js, and right now what we want to do is to connect to the blockchain. So to do blockchain related stuff, just like what I mentioned before, we have to basically like talk to one of the nodes of the blockchain, and each node, because it has every single one of those nodes has a copy of the entire ledger of the blockchain, we can easily talk to them to get information about the blockchain and to interact with the blockchain. So basically, I've already explained this in one of the previous videos, but we will use a JSON RPC for this, and all we need to do is to get the provider, which allows us to talk to the blockchain and the nodes on the blockchain, so we can do the blockchain related stuff like finding how much tokens a certain person has, a certain wallet address. So what we have to do is to type const provider. This would be a provider equals to new ethers.providers.json RPC provider. We covered this before in the videos. And then we have to paste in an RPC URL, which allows us to get a connection to the blockchain. And basically the RPC URL which I'm going to use right now, you can just use the same as https / cloudflare eth. My bad, I forgot to put it in quotations, so let's put in quotations eth.com. Alright, so basically this line helps us get a secure connection to the blockchain. Now for our program, what we want to do is to track a specific ERC20 token and check for any like transactions that are like above like a certain threshold, and we're going to print out the message and we're going to play the Never Gonna Give You Up song. So the coin which we're going to track for this demo is USDC, but you can use any ERC20 token you want, but I'm just going to use USDC because I'll show you why in a second. So here's USDC on Etherscan. There are like so many transactions using USDC, the stablecoin, and some of these transactions have like a high volume, so we can use that for our testing purpose. But anyways, right now what we're going to do is copy the contract address of your ERC20 token. So I'm going to copy the contract address, and then after I'm going to assign it to the variable const contract address, and then set it equal to this. So assign it to the variable contract address. So now what we want to do after we got the contract address of our ERC20 token and we got the connection is that we want to create a JavaScript version of the smart contract so that we can use it to interact with the blockchain inside the program. So to do that, I'll go into the Ethers.js documentation. All we got to write is assign it to variable contract equals to new ethers.contract, and then we have to pass in the contract address of our ERC20 token, so we already have that contract address. And then we need to pass in something called a contract ABI. So I'll just explain it. I'll just explain what it is, but I'll just write it here for now. Contract ABI. And finally we have to pass into provider to the blockchain nodes. So after we did this step, let me explain what the contract ABI is first. So contract ABI is just basically like a JSON representation of a certain smart contract, and basically we will need this for our program so we can create the contract. And for ERC20 tokens, many ERC20 token contract ABIs are like pretty similar, but let's just copy the ABI for USDC. To get the ABI, you can just go to my GitHub repository. I'll put the link in the description below, but what I'm just going to do right now is I'm going to go to my script.js, my original one, and I'm going to copy the entire contract ABI. So I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to paste it over here. It's pretty long. So after you have your contract ABI, basically right now, congratulations, you have successfully created a contract inside JavaScript. And one thing that I want to do, we can also simplify this line by deleting the ethers. So let's delete it, and then after we have to add contract over here. So boom, there we go. Right now we have connected to the blockchain, we have got our ABI and our contract address, and we create a contract inside our script. So basically now what we want to do is that we want to create our main function. So let's type const main async. We want it to be asynchronous. And then right now inside we would do all like the functionality to print out the messages whenever there's like a whale which sends more than a greater threshold. And speaking about threshold, right now let's create some kind of variable that sets like some kind of limit for a threshold. So basically right now what we have to do is const transfer threshold. basically this is like the least amount of USDC that someone sends, and we're gonna print that transaction, and then we have to set it to the number of USDC. So let's set it to 100,000. And then because USDC at the end there are 6 decimals, so we have to put in 6 zeros. And then this is our transfer threshold. This is basically equal to 100,000 USDC. So basically, like, I'll just write it down. Transaction involving more than this number of USDC will be printed, will be console.logged. So this is the threshold that we're gonna set, and in our async function, first let's make sure that this all works by doing some kind of test. So we're gonna print out like the name of our contract address, and it should print out USDC. So what we have to do right now is to assign it to variable. So the name will be await new contract dot name. This is all in the documentation, by the way. And then we have to print out console dot log just to make sure it works. Name. Okay, so now let's test our script. We're gonna be printing out the name of the contract address, which is USDC. So let's type node, and then the name of our file, so script.js. Oh, that's strange, nothing showed up. Oh, it's because I forgot to call the function. So it's a pretty easy fix. We just gotta type main, and then now let's try to run it again. And boom, there you have it. We've printed out the name of the token of the contract address. So right now we know that it works. We are interacting with the blockchain. So now let's give it some more styling over here. So we just don't want to write USD coin. We can type something like the whale tracker has started listening for large transfers of, and then we type in name. Also, we gotta put it in the backslash quotation because we are embedding name over here. So let's try to run again. There we have it. The whale tracker started listening for large transfers of our name of the contract address. So everything works, and let's keep this console.log, so then every single time someone starts this script, we're gonna print that. Now, basically right now, we wanna print out like the transactions which are over the threshold, and we wanna like print out like the amount and the data, all that stuff. So basically right now, we have to put it in like a function call. So we type contract dot on, and then inside on transfer, and then we have to pass in the parameters from to amount data. Also, if you go to Etherscan and you look at some of these transactions, you see that you can see that basically let's look at one of these transactions. You have like all these data, and you have like from, to, all that stuff, the value, the amount, stuff like that. So it's gonna print out all this, and we need to specify that in a script. So let's go back to a script, and then now it's a function call. So, and then let's print out the console.log, and then let's actually print out whenever there's a whale transfer. So we type new whale transfer, and then on Etherscan, basically in every single transaction they're gonna have, for the link to it, etherscan.io/transaction, and then they're gonna have like the data of the transaction hash and the amount, and basically in the link. So what we have to do is to embed that. So data is one of these parameters, so all we have to do is type data.transaction hash, and let's just make sure it works. So let's print it out. So there's a problem. Let's see what the problem is. Oh, it's because I put it's the wrong positioning of the bracket. So the bracket's supposed to be here, and it's still unhappy. What seems to be the problem this time? Oh, my bad, it's the other way around. Okay, and then now let's run this script again. Okay, and as you can see, every single time there's a transaction, it will also print out like the link to the transaction. So let's just copy one of these random links and go to a browser, paste. And as you can see, it has went to one of these addresses. So great, it works. And we also want to print out like the amount. And also, as you can see, there are like so many transfers, but it's because we didn't set the threshold. So let's set the threshold right now. So let's wrap in an if statement. So if the amount, and we want to convert it from string to a number, amount to number, to number is greater than or equal to the transfer threshold that we specified over here. And then if this condition is met, if this check is met, then we're going to console log the link to the transaction that shows all the details. And what we also want to do is that we can also print out the amount. So let's print out the amount. So amount transferred. And now let's test if it works. Right now we should have less of these print statements because we have a threshold over here. So let's Control C to stop it on a Mac, and then Node-script.js. We'll tracker started, and as you can see, there we have it. Basically right now it print out like the link to the transaction details, and also shows the amount which is being transferred, the amount of USDC which is being transferred. But because USDC has 6 decimal places, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It has only transferred this much, not this much obviously. So actually I'm gonna leave that as a challenge for you to try to figure out how do you put the decimal place, how do you split it and put the decimal places in the original place. But other than that, our program is working, and every single time there is a transfer, the link to the transaction information will be printed out, and the amount of USDC is going to be printed out. So as you can see, we have it. Just to double check, let's just go to this link. Oh, there's a privacy error. I don't know why it's not running, but basically, if you go into this link, you should see all the transaction details, and it should all work. Anyways, it's all working right now, and the last thing to implement, and it's probably the part which you're waiting for, is the Rickroll part. So we want it to be like every single time this message is printed, we're gonna play the Rickroll sound. So basically we need to like import a sound library. The sound library allows us to like play some sound. So all we gotta do is to go to this play sound library. I'll leave the link in the description below, and copy this, npm install, and this is the library that we're going to use, play sound. So let's install it. It will take some time to install. Great, so it's finished installing, and now what we want to do is to import it into our script. So basically what we're going to do is const the player of the sound. So let's call it player equals to require. We're just importing it, play sound, and bracket OPTS. And there we have it. We have successfully imported the player. And then right now what we want to do is that we want to like bring in the Rickroll song, like the music file, into our folder. So I'm just gonna drag this Rickroll folder into here, and this Rickroll file is over here, and basically we have it. So to call it into our main script, all we have to do is it's basically, let's create a function const play the sound, and then we have to specify like the songs are going to be played. So we type player, this is the player, which allows us to play the sound, dot play, and then our name of our sound file, so in this case it will be rickroll.mp3, and then if there's an error, it will print out the error. Okay, so we have this function play sound, and then we have like the functionality. So to make it so that it plays a sound every single time this message of a whale activity is printed out, all we gotta do is just call that function. So what we have to do is in our check, in our if statement, we type play sound. Now let's run it, and the Rickroll should work. Let me just lower down my volume because this sound can be pretty loud. Node script.js. World tracker starting. There you go, guys. We have successfully created a script. We have successfully coded a script that prints out raw activity, the amount of USDC being transferred, and every single time that is printed out, we will play the song that we're going to give you up. And congratulations, guys, you just got Rickroll. Alright, let me just stop it. And there we have it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you guys learned something. Let me just go through this entire script again. So basically, we import Ethers.js, we get the provider to connect to the blockchain, and then we have a contract address of our token which we want to check the whale activity on, and then we have a contract ABI, and then we have a contract. So just create a contract so we can interact with the power of the blockchain. We create a threshold, and after, here's a main function. In our main function, we will first print out the introduction statement. The whale tracker started listening to 4 large transfers of the coin, so it's USDC, and then we have if the amount which is being transferred is greater than the transfer threshold, then we're going to play the Rickroll sound, and we're going to print out like the data of the transaction, and we're also going to send the link to the address and to the address of the transaction. And remember about the time where I tried to like copy and paste the link to go to a certain page, but I couldn't because of a privacy error. It's because I made a pretty stupid typo. It's not supposed to be etherscan.to, it's supposed to be etherscan.io, my bad. But anyways, if you guys run it again, if you guys copy the link, it should work. Anyways, guys, one last time, I hope you guys learned something, and be sure to like and subscribe if you want more content like this. Head over to IEEE-blockchain.org to learn more about our organization. But yeah, I hope you guys learned something, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.